Welcome back to another top 10. This time we are going over what is happened to be one of the biggest things that happened in gaming in the mid-90s, which was the separation of Nintendo and Sony, and the aftermath that came from that, which was the PS1. And of course, at a time with the anniversary being of the PlayStation 20, wonderfully 25 years old right now, at least in America, it is about time we hop into what is my favorite, hand down favorite PS1 games of all time. So, let's get into it, shall we?
In the city, respect is everything.
Grand Theft Auto 2. The game that I feel like in a lot of ways really got GTA started in a pretty big way. Don't get me wrong, GTA 3 was a massive thing for the series, but let's be totally honest, GTA 2 was the game that truly set the franchise in the right path, and honestly set up a lot of mechanics that will still be in play as the series went on, and also kind of added a story in a lot of ways, with GTA 1 having a kind of light one for the most part, but with GTA 2 having you constantly having to manage each of the different gangs, how the relationship work, and also just trying to survive in the city itself. And the game could be beaten in many ways. You could do the story, you could just play it as an arcade game and beat it strictly by points. The game itself was very open-ended to the way you want to play it, with point, side mission, plot. The game itself is pretty much the sandbox that GTA is known for, just added so much more to it and much more immersion with everything that was happening on the story side. And honestly, in a lot of ways, GTA 2 kind of set precedent the way that the later 3D GTA on the PS2 might be Liberty City with GTA 3, Vice City, or San Andreas. The game itself is a basis for all that and should be appreciated as such. The PS1 had a lot of survival horror games. May have been with Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil, Martian Gothic, and all the other spin-offs that came directly from Capcom, Konami, and many other companies as well, trying to hop on the bandwagon of Resident Evil. But one specific spin-off game in the genre that set pretty much precedent in a lot of ways, took the idea of survival horror and made it way more scary and way more mental. And the game I am talking about is Silent Hill. Silent Hill happened to be one of the games that came out around that time period of Resident Evil 2, 3-ish, Dino Crisis, but very quickly made a name for itself for not just being a glorified, inventory management meet Metroidvania that Resident Evil and a lot of the Capcom survival horror games was. Silent Hill was much more than that, with its puzzle, its open-ended environments, with just the pure terror that came from that game. I could easily say it probably no other game that is nearly as scary as Silent Hill 1 was on the PS1, and to this day still hold up dramatically well, especially with a lot of it more mental stuff that kind of slowly eat away at you as you are playing through it. And honestly, with the game having so many different endings, so many little variables that come into play for said ending, This game is highly replayable, and honestly, outside of the puzzle that involved a piano, outside of that, probably have some of the better puzzles that was in most PS1 games of that ilk. And honestly, Silent Hill 1 in a lot of ways is still better than most horror games we get to this day, and should be recognized as just that. A pure 100% PS1 masterpiece that need to be played by anyone that enjoys this genre.
Hong Kong, a familiar place in another time. Mercenaries were coming from the west, told of my disappearance by a man, a betrayer who worked for my father. I had become a commodity that would be redeemed for cash.
And to keep the train rolling on survival horror games that was spin-offs or installment in the genre that came with Resident Evil is another one that is so deep into me as a psyche, maybe with some reason that, is quite obvious when we speak of the series, and that series is, of course, Fear Effect. Fear Effect have been a very interesting series overall, with the game itself being much more survival horror meet J-horror with some cyberpunk, like atmosphere toward in here, and just a sense of like very heavily Japanese cyberpunk, with the likes of like Ghost in the Shell with the architecture, right along with a whole bunch of like local J-horror, like 18th century Japan style mixed in. And that sounds like something that would not work that well, but it's extremely impactful the way it actually all mix and match, and honestly, work in such a way that, honestly, it shouldn't work. Because this game itself, at the end of the day, is just a normal Resident Evil style survival horror games, just with a whole bunch of elements that we don't really see in survival horror games, and to this day, we still don't really see all that much. And then, of course, you can also throw in the giant sex appeal that came with this game, if it's like a little more toned down appeal to Fear Effect 2. But, the base is still there, and the genre itself, or the series itself, kind of have went in all over places with the second game, and then the canceled third game, and the Kickstarter game itself. The series, honestly, is all over the place in quality, some parts better than others. But honestly, Fear Effect 1 to this day is still a extremely well type of game that play very good, and honestly still look pretty good, especially with a cel-shaded look to it. And honestly, if you want a more supernatural, cyberpunky J-horror games, honestly, you can't do much better than Fear Effect 1.
Welcome to Los Angeles, rookie. The city of angels. No angels here anymore, unless you count Angel Mendoza. Target moving south on Harper. Angel runs a tattoo salon in Hollywood. He's a recon mutant with 6 hands. Angel gave me this. X1 Alpha, you got yourself a Code 7. This is the LAPD. Nice work, rookie. Now where was I?
And now we start getting into some games that kind of have been forgotten to the sense of time by the majority of people, but deep down are still fantastic games. And the game I'm thinking of specifically is Future Cop LAPD, which is a top-down, I guess you could say what would be kind of a twin-stick shooter, but not really, since it was only really one stick. But still in that vein nonetheless, where you play as a cop in a mech. Which, what makes it interesting is, of course, the mech itself. And the mech is very much, I guess you could say, kind of in the case of Macross or Robotech, with it being able to transform between cars, straight up mech, and having a customization now that you don't really see in a lot of games of the time period. And in return, kind of really make it a very fun, arcadey, shoot 'em up style, top down. I guess you could call it what? kind of Diablo with a robot cop car, I guess, kind of. But the mission structure and dealing with all the cyberpunk gangs of LA and everything about the game, honestly, it's just fantastic, and I would love for it to come back. But sadly, this series is kind of dead since it was under the, I believe, EA umbrella. So who knows what have ever came of it, since we never got a sequel or anything. The closest we ever got to it was, of course, a PSN release of the PS1 Classic version, which you should be able to still pick up for probably less than $5 at that point. And honestly, I highly recommend it if you have never played Future Cop. And now we go back to another game that have had billions of sequels, going all the way up to the time period of the Nintendo Wii, but never really captured its glory of the PS1 era. And the game I am talking about here is Tenchu 2, Force of the Stealth Assassin. And mainly, specifically, Tenchu 2 here being probably easily one of the best game in the series. The game added so much more, so many more mechanics of being stealthy, since you do play as a ninja, pretty much sent out on mission to do assassination or one mission for your leader of your ninja clan, with a story involving a whole bunch of other ninja and a whole bunch of twists and turns. And honestly, the game itself is the reason it's so fantastic, and the reason this is like one of the best in the series, is mainly because the game took advantage of a lot of stuff that was happening around the PS1 time period, with such things as multiple distant character playthrough, with you playing through as either the male character or a female character, with two separate stories, with a third character being unlocked to see the story from the bad guy spectrum, and then on top of that, dropping in a map editor and mission editor, so you can in return make your own missions of assassination, gathering items, trying to escape areas. The game has so much content to it, and any more so once you bring in the level editors, and if you have people to play with to make levels and see if they can beat your level, and trading levels. It was a big thing back in the PS1 time period. The PS1 time period when it came out. And honestly, to this day, it's still vastly so much fun to play this game and to play the custom built levels, which sadly no other Tenchu game pretty much ever went back to this ideal. But my god, it would be so fun if that's something that would happen to this day. If, say, From Software, Activision, whatever the license hold, which I think is in From Software hand at the moment. Just imagine the funness that would come from that type of gameplay with the editor and everything in nowadays time. Would be fantastic. But for that being stuck on the PS1, where it was pretty much the only place where to play it, honestly, to this day, it's still great, and you need to play Tenchu 2.
The nuclear weapons disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island in Alaska's Fox Archipelago was attacked and captured by next-generation special forces, being led by members of Foxhound.
And now here's a game that, honestly, what to be said about this, and they've been talked about 1.5 billion times over the last, pretty much, 2 decades at this point, maybe more, I think like 2.5 decades. being out and about. And of course, that is Metal Gear Solid. Honestly, I don't think really anything I can add to the discussion other than Metal Gear Solid truly is a masterpiece and probably easily one of the best games on the PS1. Literally hand down, since this series have done so much, especially for the later interests of Metal Gear 2 and onwards. And honestly, in a lot of ways, probably still one of the best Metal Gear games in the series. With the game being highly replayable, all the sequence, all the random knickknacks that you can only find in Kojima games. And honestly, if you own a PS1, Metal Gear Solid is a game you kinda need to own because, let's be honest, it truly is one of the masterpieces on the PS1.
Keep moving, Spidey!
And now we go on to a series that have died, came back from the dead, and then were spit on and dragged through the mud. But lucky enough, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is still easily one of the best action sport games ever made, and to this day, honestly, the best sport game on the PS1. Because honestly, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 did so much right. They added so much from Pro Skater 1, which was already a great game. But 2 was pretty much jumping a billion steps into the future of adding so much stuff between all the characters, all the level, all the hidden stuff, the character unlocks, the hidden levels that you can unlock, all the videos you can unlock, and pretty much every a crack gator of the time period. And then having once again a map editor, as we discussed with Tenchu, that added infinite replayability to this. And then the introduction of the manual to keep your combo going. The game, honestly, if Tony Hawk 3 and 4 added some stuff that was very great. But as far as the PS1 time period Tony Hawk 2 is the best, and to this day, still so much fun to play. Honestly, you can't really beat it when it came to PS1 skateboarding games. In a lot of ways, kinda set the dominoes up for the games we got later on from other companies who really wanted to tap in to the Tony Hawk Pro Skater and mythos and popularity. And honestly, as a game from, I believe, 98, 99, it's surprising of how much impact it had on the gaming field, as well of just being to the stage completely fun, which can't be said about all games from the PS1 time period.
Kain is deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel.
And now we get into a game that I don't want to say is forgotten by any means. Maybe forgotten as far as AAA company or company in general kind of care about, but honestly, it's still a huge part of who I am as a gamer. And if you have not experienced it, you probably really need to. Then the game wasn't only on the PS1, later there was a Dreamcast port and a PC port later on. But the PS1 version is probably hand down one of the best in this series. And of course, I am talking about Legacy of Kain, Soul Weaver. And for anyone who had played Soul Weaver, or the Legacy of Kain series overall, would know how this is probably easily one of the best story franchises in gaming history, period. That kind of came to an end, and we never really saw much after it other than a canceled game and a PvP free-to-play game, which, let's not talk about it, shall we? But Soul Evil itself is pretty much the game followed the main character Waziel, who is striking out on revenge against his vampire brothers who betrayed him, all because he started evolving before anyone else in the clan. And the story itself wrapped up very heavily in mythology, religion, time travel, and like vampire politics in a apocalyptic Vampire Hunter D style universe that is so fascinating and so rich. And with, of course, the lead writer being Amy Henley, which you might know from Uncharted, some canceled Star Wars games, and a few other places. And all writing is just absolutely phenomenal in there. And then the voice cast of so many actors that pretty much had brought voice acting to such a high level, especially during the PS1 time period when most voice acting was in a lot of ways an afterthought. But Soul Evil and Legacy of Kain as a whole is pretty much done so well. It's so far above its time that it existed. It cannot be helped but be appreciated. And then on top of that, the gameplay itself is a third-person beat-em-up style type game, but with heavy Metroidvania mechanic toward in here, with you unlocking power to solve puzzles, to get to a new area, and so on. And honestly, if you have not played a Legacy of Kain game at all, Soul Evil is a good place to hop in. If some details would be way more appreciated if you did play the original Legacy of Kain, but overall, Soul Evil is a pretty good place to start with this series if you haven't already played it. And of course, once again, there's another game you can pick up over on PSN to my knowledge, and also I believe over on Steam as well, which PC port is a little iffy. Keep that in mind.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
And another game that honestly want to be added here that haven't always been added. And speaking of Metroidvania from Legacy of Kain, we of course have one of the best Legacy style Castlevania game, because this is straight up legendary in so many ways, and honestly one of the best Castlevania games. And I am speaking of course, stay with me everybody, Symphony of the Night. And honestly, the game itself set the bar pretty high for all Metroidvania that came after it. And in most cases, most Metroidvania to this day is very highly inspired by Symphony of the Night, right along with with Super Metroid as well. Man, Symphony of the Night honestly was one of them games that have so much to it, so much hitting stuff, a whole map that you wouldn't even know about without you just happen to know how to do it or stumble into it in a more convoluted way known to man. But the game itself, honestly, I would say really no other Metroidvania game have ever really come close to the same level of enjoyment and discoverability and just pure fun that is Symphony of the Night. And honestly, no other one is nearly addictive as Symphony of the Night, with everything you can do between all the magical spells, items, abilities. And honestly, Symphony of the Night is another one of them games that if you own a PS1, and if you able to, you need this in your collection. And now, my number one favorite PS1 game after many hours of debating in my head of all the games that I truly love, appreciate, made me who I am to this day. It only really come down to one at the end of the day, which is, of course, Resident Evil 2 for the PS1. Don't get me wrong. I could argue in some way about Resident Evil 3 being uphill as well. But let's be honest here. After dwelling on it, Resident Evil 2 is probably my favorite Resident Evil game and favorite PS1 game. So the game did up that, well, not even the remake did, or we have any seen in other games. With this being a very much so a Resident Evil as is game, because let's be honest, the game is honestly everything Resident Evil known for. You got your backtracking, you got your puzzles, you got your item management, you got everything. You got your zombie apocalypse, and then having you trapped in a area in a city, and the story itself as well. A lot of the Resident Evil myth don't really come from a Raccoon City. There's so much that happens in Raccoon City kind of impact everything that ever happened in any of the RE game moving onwards. And then on top of that, just adding the replay value between you playing as Leon or Quell, and depending on what order you play in, which then your new game plus will be totally different. And adding new enemy, new bosses, new story for every time you beat the game. And at the end of the day, boiling down to technically 4 separate games in this. Because playing a B scenario, A scenario at each character completely change between playthroughs. And honestly, no other Resident Evil game I feel like have ever captured that moment of feeling like the same game and just rinse and repeating with a new character to just very quickly turn it on its head and be so surprising and in return done in a way that you would never forget. Don't get me wrong, the remake came close in some aspect to that, but let's be honest. Resident Evil 2 on the PS1 is far better than the remake, and in return far better than any game in the survival horror genre. And honestly, the game with how much replay value it held between how things change depending on what order you play the character is mind-boggling. And like I said, to this day, no other game really have ever came close to hitting that same drive of drilling moments of trying to figure out of keeping you, I get unease that you never know at what point will something change on you. So that is my favorite PS1 games of all time. Let me know in the comment, what are your guys' favorite? What game do you absolutely love? Or how horrible you think my list is? Let me know in the comment below. And also don't forget to hold like, favorite, subscribe, hit some bells. You know, do what you gotta do for YouTube to do its job, I guess. Maybe, hopefully. And if you do want to support the channel beyond that, of course, continue watching whatever next video is popping up. And also, come on over to the Patreon, get you some bonus stuff. And, yeah, support the channel directly. So with that, I'm Colt being your wonderful Hope 20. And I will catch you in the next video and over on Twitch, where I stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, see you then. Bye!